All right, let's look at the business rules table for this process, test organ. So all of our questions, again, as a reminder, will be in the context of testing the organ. So for a single specific organ, how many tests, or a single specific organ, how many tests would apply to that organ? Now, could there be one? We could say yes. Could there be several? We could say yes. Is it possible that there's never a test that would apply to an organ? The answer is no. There's always a test. Well, one of the questions I would ask as an analyst is, well, is it possible that there's only one test? Or are there always several tests? And the answer from the subject matter experts could be, well, there are always several tests because we have to test for all of the diseases, not just up to the point where we encounter the first one, then we say, oh, it's sick, let's not go any further. Because when we dispose of the organs because they're diseased, we have to be able to find the suppliers that can deal with that disease or those diseases. So it's always several tests, can't be none. And notice I said applied to. For a single specific organ, how many test results would we get? Would we get just one? And the answer is no, we wouldn't get just one. We'd get several test results. And we'll never get none because we test all organs, even if they're already past the 48-hour life expectancy when we receive it and we test it. By the time we test it, we still have to test for all the diseases. So several tests would apply to the organ, and several results are recorded for the organ. For a single specific test, how many organs would that single specific test, like a hepatitis C test, for example, be applied to? How many organs would we apply it to? Well, we could apply it to one or many organs, but never none. If I say, is it possible that we have a test that's never applied to any organ, the subject matter expert in this case, in this example, would say, no, that's not possible. We don't have tests that are not used. They're all used for something. Okay, so maybe one or many. And a single specific type of test, such as a Hep C test, will always be applied to several organs. And if that's what they say, that's what I'm going to end up with, is an N, meaning numerous or many. For a single specific test, how many test results do we get? Well, now this is interesting because you've got to ask, as the analyst, do tests have test results? And the answer is, well, no, tests don't have test results. Organs have test results coming from the tests that are applied. So if I know the test, would I ever want to look up the test results? It seems like that's just looking up the baseball score without knowing the teams. 4, 3, 12, 1. Doesn't help a whole lot. So for a single specific test, how many test results? That's a not applicable. We don't care. But for a single specific test result, for one of these, how many organs would that single specific test result apply to? Clearly to one. Not to a whole bunch, it's a single specific test in this example that we're using, and it can't be none. For a single specific test result, how many tests would it apply to? Now, if I say apply to, again, the answer is we don't care, it would be NA. But if I change the wording a little bit, and this is very important now to remember, if I change the wording and say for a single specific test result, how many tests might that have come from? Then we'll get a different answer. So it's very important that the co-pilot, the one who records everything that you're doing, which could be yourself after you finish going through this, or someone else, the co-pilot actually records the context of your question, the actual verb chosen. So the context is still testing, but the words you choose can make a difference. Now I would say that I'm going to go with NA in this case, because test results, if I know the test result, positive, would I ever want to look up the test? Okay, but does it pass the so what test? Now that I know the test result, positive or negative, I find out it's a hepatitis C test. That didn't seem to help me a whole lot. It seems that everything has to be by way of the organ. So here I have this, very straightforward to do again. But as an analyst, you've got to really, really think through what you're doing. The more practice you have at this, the easier it becomes to think it through.